flipping through the newspapers, switching through multiple news channels, exploring different websites and online mediums for relevant news. Keeping up to date with important news is not only time-consuming but also requires meticulous upkeep of notes for thorough revision. With a limited period in hand and abundant resources to study from, do not let current affairs come in the way of your prelims success. Join the PT 365 program by Vision IAS and advance in your preparation for current affairs. Starting on 9th January at 5 p.m., this 20-day course offers comprehensive coverage of 1 year of current affairs in 60 hours. Join for improved knowledge with complete coverage of the Hindu, Indian Express, PIB, Economic Times, Yojana, Economic Survey, etc. Doubt-clearing sessions and mentoring for thorough knowledge. Access to Sandhan personalized test with 25,000 plus questions. Access to live and online classes for flexibility in timing. It's time to devote your energy to smart learning and not running. Enroll today and excel in UPSC prelims with a strong command of current affairs.
Hello and welcome to this edition of News Today. Without delay, let's have a look at the headlines first. Bureau of Indian Standards released a working draft on e-commerce, principles and guidelines for self-governance. Ministry of Women and Child Development celebrates 10 years of Beti Bachao, Beti Padhao scheme. Department of Commerce introduces Diamond Imprest Authorization scheme. National Tribal Health Conclave 2025 aims to address unique challenges faced by tribal communities. Blueprint to close the Women's Health Gap report released by World Economic Forum. Food and Agriculture Organization publishes report on sustainable nitrogen management in agri-food systems. In a significant move to strengthen the e-commerce ecosystem, the Bureau of Indian Standards or BIS has released a working draft titled E-commerce, Principles and Guidelines for Self-Governance. This draft proposes a comprehensive set of principles and guidelines to foster an ethical and responsible e-commerce environment in India. The draft organizes e-commerce transaction principles into three key phases: pre-transaction principles, contract formation principles, and post-transaction principles. Starting with pre-transaction principles. The focus is on ensuring transparency and authenticity. E-commerce entities must verify the legitimacy of sellers, including their place of business, key managerial personnel, and financial information. Additionally, entities are required to disclose crucial details like product or service descriptions, final consumer prices, cancellation and return policies, safety warnings, seller information, and the country of origin. Moving on to contract formation principles. Entities must obtain the consumer's express informed consent without using pre-ticked checkboxes. Consumers should also be able to review their transactions before making the final payment. The draft emphasizes a transparent process for cancellations, returns, and refunds, specifying all charges and timelines. It also highlights the importance of maintaining secure payment systems with encryption and two-factor authentication, as well as recording complete transaction details. In the post-transaction phase, the guidelines stress consumer-friendly processes for returns, exchanges, refunds, and dispute resolution. This includes a single point of contact, toll-free numbers, estimated resolution timelines, and the appointment of a grievance officer. Apart from these phases, the draft also includes general principles. These call for prohibiting the sale of banned products by implementing monitoring mechanism and conducting background checks on sellers. Entities must adhere to fair business practices, avoiding preferential treatment and following packaging norms. There are also provisions to address counterfeit products and mechanism for reporting violations of intellectual property rights. Switching focus to the broader e-commerce sector in India. Its growth potential is immense. The sector is projected to reach a staggering $325 billion by 2030. In the fiscal year 2023 alone, the sector achieved $60 billion in gross merchandise value or GMV, marking a 22% growth compared to the previous year. On the policy front, the government has extended robust support. For instance, 100% foreign direct investment or FDI is permitted in B2B e-commerce and under the automatic route in the marketplace model of e-commerce. Furthermore, the government is aiming for $200 to $300 billion in e-commerce exports by 2030. With these principles and the growing policy framework, the e-commerce sector in India is poised for transformative growth. Marking a significant milestone, the Beti Bachao, Beti Padhao or BBP scheme completes 10 years of its impactful journey, aligning with India's Viksit Bharat 2047 vision and the global transition from women's development to women-led development. The Beti Bachao, Beti Padhao scheme is a joint initiative by the Ministry of Women and Child Development, the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare, and the Ministry of Education. Over the years, it has expanded its scope by including the Ministry of Skill Development and Entrepreneurship and the Ministry of Minority Affairs as partners. It is worth noting that Beti Bachao, Beti Padhao is a centrally sponsored scheme and is now part of the Sambal vertical under the Mission Shakti umbrella. Mission Shakti itself operates in mission mode, focusing on strengthening interventions for the safety, security, and empowerment of women. It has two sub-schemes, Sambal and Samarthya. The scheme has made significant progress over the past decade. For instance, the sex ratio at birth or SRB has improved from 918 in 2014-15 to 930 in 2023-24, marking a 12-point increase. Similarly, the girls' gross enrollment ratio or GER at the secondary level has risen from 75.51% to 78% during the same period, showcasing a 2.49% increase. The most striking achievement is in institutional deliveries, which have surged from 61% in 2014-15 to 97.3% in 2023-24, reflecting a 36.3% improvement. The primary goals of this scheme remain ambitious and essential. It aims to improve the sex ratio at birth by 2 points annually, sustain institutional deliveries at 95% or above, and achieve a 1% annual increase in girls' enrollment at the secondary education level and in their skilling opportunities. Furthermore, it focuses on reducing dropout rates among girls and raising awareness about safe menstrual hygiene management. Notably, there is no provision for direct benefit transfer or the creation of capital assets under the BBP. The Beti Bachao, Beti Padhao scheme has been pivotal in promoting gender equality and creating opportunities for girls and women across India. As we mark a decade of its impact, it is a moment to reflect on its achievements and renew our commitment to empowering women as leaders of India's future.
Moving ahead, the Department of Commerce has introduced a Diamond Imprest Authorization scheme to support MSME diamond exporters, generate employment, safeguard the domestic industry, and enhance global competitiveness. This initiative aims to streamline the ease of doing business within India's diamond sector, which plays a pivotal role in the global market. According to the statistics by the Global Trade Research Initiative, India is the world's largest exporter of polished diamonds, processing approximately 90% of the world's rough diamonds by volume. Additionally, India accounts for 33% of global diamond exports by value, solidifying its position as a leader in the industry. The Diamond Imprest Authorization Scheme, introduced under the Foreign Trade Policy 2023, provides a streamlined mechanism for the duty-free import of natural cut and polished diamonds. Let's take a look at the features. This scheme allows a duty-free import of natural cut and polished diamonds of less than a quarter carat or 25 cents. It mandates export obligation with a value addition of 10%. Eligibility is restricted to diamond exporters holding 2-star export house status and above, with annual exports of at least $15 million per year. However, the scheme does not extend to lab-grown diamonds. Exempted duties include basic customs duty, additional customs duty, education cess, anti-dumping duty, and countervailing duty. Despite India's dominance in the diamond sector, the industry faces significant global and internal challenges. Globally, there has been a sharp decline in demand for polished diamonds in key markets like the US, China, and Europe, coupled with a shift in consumer preferences towards lab-grown diamonds. Internally, the sector struggles with large unsold inventories of polished diamonds, rising operational costs, reduced margins in global trade, a high corporate tax regime, and limited credit availability from banks. To address these challenges, measures such as extending the export credit period for cut and polished diamond exporters, exempting foreign rough diamond sellers from corporate tax, and regulating the lab-grown diamond industry are recommended. These steps could help stabilize the industry and maintain India's leadership in the global diamond market.
Now let's focus on the National Tribal Health Conclave 2025, a pivotal initiative designed to address the unique healthcare challenges faced by tribal communities across India. This important event has been organized under the Dharti Aba Janjati Gram Utkarsh Abhiyan by the Ministry of Tribal Affairs and the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare. Let's dive straight into the key issues being tackled. To begin with, geographical remoteness remains one of the biggest barriers. Many tribal communities reside in mountainous terrains or dense forests, making it challenging to establish and sustain healthcare facilities in these areas. Adding to this, inadequate infrastructure creates significant hurdles. Limited access to healthcare professionals in remote areas often leads to delayed diagnosis and inappropriate treatments. Another pressing concern is language barriers. The lack of health information in native languages restricts informed decision-making among tribal populations. And then there's the need for cultural sensitivity. Tribal communities often rely on indigenous healing practices. When these are not acknowledged or integrated with mainstream healthcare, it fosters distrust and reluctance to seek medical help. The urgency of these challenges becomes even more apparent when we look at the statistics on tribal health from the National Family Health Survey 2019 to 2021. Currently, 40.9% of tribal children are stunted, 23.2% suffer from wasting, and 39.5% are underweight. Infant mortality stands at 41.6 per 1,000 live births, while the under 5 mortality rate is at 50.3 per 1,000 live births. Institutional deliveries, though improving, are still at 82.3%, and only 76.8% of children aged 12 to 23 months are fully immunized. These figures highlight the critical need for targeted and sustained interventions. To address these challenges, the conclave is focusing on developing a strategic roadmap to enhance healthcare delivery in tribal areas. Innovative solutions like telemedicine and mobile medical units are being explored to bridge the gap caused by geographical isolation. Equally important is the need to build culturally sensitive and inclusive healthcare models that integrate traditional healing practices with modern medical systems. Furthermore, targeted interventions are essential to tackle specific health issues. Efforts must focus on addressing malnutrition, improving reproductive health, and promoting traditional food practices. Additionally, rare diseases, addiction, and mental health problems require specialized attention to create meaningful impact. At the heart of these efforts lies a set of guiding principles: respect for tribal culture, relevance to the unique needs of these communities, reciprocity to foster mutual learning and understanding, and responsibility to empower tribal populations. By embracing these values, the government can create a more inclusive and effective healthcare system that truly serves the needs of tribal communities.
Moving on, the World Economic Forum, in collaboration with the McKinsey Health Institute, has released the blueprint to close the Women's Health Gap report, emphasizing the economic and social benefits of addressing disparities in women's health. Let's take a closer look at the key findings of the report. Firstly, the report reveals that women spend 25% more of their lives in poor health compared to men. It identifies 9 specific health conditions that drive 1/3 of women's health gap. It includes conditions that affect lifespan, for example, cervical and breast cancer, maternal hypertensive disorders, postpartum hemorrhage, etc., and conditions that affect health span such as menopause and perimenopause, premenstrual syndrome, migraine, among others. The potential benefits of closing this gap are substantial, as it could add $1 trillion to global GDP annually by 2040 and reclaim 75 million disability-adjusted life years each year. However, several issues with respect to various parameters and recommendations for them have been put in place. Discrepancies in data, particularly in low-income countries, hinder accurate health estimates of women. To address this, publishing sex disaggregated data is essential for a better understanding of sex-related health differences. Furthermore, research gaps in underfunding in women-specific health conditions, such as hormonal health and second X chromosome studies, exacerbate the problem. Increasing funding for diverse and accessible clinical trials is critical to bridging this gap. Additionally, disparities in care delivery contribute significantly to the health gap. Implementing representative and evidence-based clinical practice guidelines for women-specific conditions can help ensure equitable care. Cultural barriers also play a significant role, as shame and stigma often prevent women, particularly those from lower socioeconomic and educational backgrounds, from seeking care. Promoting awareness and education can encourage institutionalized gender-responsive care. Moreover, a lack of investment in women's health, driven by inadequate data on prevalence and potential market size, further limits progress. Coordinated, collaborative, and transformative investments between public, private, and social sectors are necessary to address this issue. In conclusion, global health systems were not historically designed with women's health as a priority. Public, private, and social sector stakeholders can drive change in a world wherein women's health gap is impeding productivity and holding women back from leading full and healthy lives. Moving on, the Food and Agriculture Organization has released a report on sustainable nitrogen management in agri-food systems, which provides a comprehensive overview of nitrogen use, resulting challenges in agri-food systems, and offers recommendations for sustainable nitrogen use. Let's take a closer look at the key highlights of the report. The report underscores a significant alteration in the nitrogen cycle caused by human activities, with approximately 150 teragrams of reactive nitrogen added annually to the Earth's land surface through agriculture and industry. Projections indicate that climate change could increase this figure to 600 teragrams per year by 2100, leading to heightened nitrogen loss into the environment. This loss manifests through ammonia or NH3 and nitrogen oxide or NOx emissions, which contribute to air pollution. Nitrous oxide or N2 emissions, a potent greenhouse gas, and the leaching of nitrates into soil and water bodies, resulting in eutrophication, acidification, and ecosystem harm. Agri-food systems, particularly the livestock sector, are significant contributors to anthropogenic nitrogen emissions, with synthetic fertilizers, land use changes, and manure emissions being primary sources of nitrogen pollution. Nitrogen usage has a dual impact, as it plays a crucial role in agriculture by preventing soil degradation and nutrient depletion while increasing crop yields, but its excessive use exacerbates global warming, degrades air and water quality, and depletes stratospheric ozone. To address these challenges, the concept of sustainable nitrogen management, or S&M, emphasizes minimizing external nitrogen inputs and losses, and also enhancing nitrogen recycling within production systems. Key recommendations for S&M include increasing nitrogen use efficiency, or NUE, through improved fertilization strategies, reducing nitrogen excretion via manure, and integrating livestock systems with crop production. NUE, defined as a ratio of nitrogen recovered in the final output to the total nitrogen used as input, is a critical metric for efficient nitrogen use. Additionally, the report advocates for promoting biological nitrogen fixation through the use of leguminous crops such as soya beans and alfalfa in crop rotations, and encourages nations to set commitments to reduce nitrogen pollution. By adopting these measures, the report envisions a more sustainable approach to nitrogen management that balances agricultural productivity with environmental preservation. In today's Personality in News, we turn our focus to Rash Behari Bose. January 21 marks the death anniversary of Rash Behari Bose, a prominent leader and pioneer of India's freedom struggle. Born in 1886 in Bardhaman district, Bengal, he was deeply inspired by the French Revolution of 1789. Due to the Alipur bomb case trials, he left Bengal and became an active revolutionary. If we look at his contributions, Bose was a key member of the Jugantar group of revolutionaries, and he was also involved in the Delhi conspiracy case of 1912, which involved a bomb attack on Viceroy Lord Charles Hardinge. Later, he moved to Tokyo, where he founded the Indian Independence League in 1942. His contributions extended to the Ghadar movement and the formation of the Azad Hind Fauj, the Indian National Army, marking him as a crucial figure in India's struggle for independence.
As we conclude today's main news, let's have a look at some quick updates. Recent findings indicate that 34% of the Arctic Boreal Zone, or ABZ, has now become a carbon source rather than a sink. This shift is attributed to regional hotspots, permafrost thawing, and increasing wildfires in northern latitudes. The Arctic Boreal Zone encompasses treeless tundra, boreal forest, and wetlands situated along the Arctic Circle in the northern hemisphere. According to research, the excessive use of nitrogen fertilizers in agriculture leads to a 5-fold reduction in flowers, while also halving the population of pollinating insects like bees. A pollinator transfers pollen from the male part, stamen, to the female part, stigma, of flowers, enabling fertilization. Pollinators include insects and animals such as bees, butterflies, moths, etc. DRDO's Hyderabad-based Defense Research and Development Laboratory successfully conducted a 122nd ground test of an active cold scramjet combustor. The endothermic scramjet fuel is central to this breakthrough, which offers significant cooling improvement and ease of ignition. It is instrumental in the development of next-generation hypersonic missile systems. The Prime Minister congratulated the Digantara team for the success of Mission SCOT. Mission SCOT stands for Space Camera for Object Tracking. The aim is to create maps for space by tracking objects. The benefits include precise object tracking and imaging in low Earth orbit, as well as better tracking accuracy of satellites. At least 4.14 lakh crop insurance claims submitted under the Pradhan Mantri Fasal Bima Yojana were found to be bogus by the Maharashtra Agriculture Department. The objective of Pradhan Mantri Fasal Bima Yojana is to provide financial support to farmers suffering from crop loss or damage, stabilize their income, encourage modern agricultural practices, and ensure the flow of credit, among other goals. Kalari Payat has been included in the list of events for demonstration and removed from the competition section in the 38th National Games to be held in Uttarakhand. Developed in Kerala, Kalari Payat is one of the most ancient martial traditions, traced to the Sangam period. Kalari signifies the training center or the place where practice occurs, and Payat means the fight or rigorous physical practice. New research provides evidence that Australopithecus, an important early human ancestor, consumed very little or no meat, relying instead on a plant-based diet. Nitrogen isotope analysis of tooth enamel reveals no evidence of meat consumption in Australopithecus. These findings challenge previous assumptions about early hominins and suggest that significant meat eating may have emerged with later species. Before we sign off, let's challenge your understanding in today's installment of Test Your Learning. Thank you for joining us. We hope you found this episode of News Today engaging. For the solutions to the quiz and to access the PDF version of News Today, remember to visit the provided links in the description below.